Okay, so that was just reviewing of the quiz. How many of you borrowed a calculator this weekend? Or over the... Okay, how many of you got your homework done? 5. 5 of you. Okay, so do we all have calculators? In front of you? Do you all have a calculator in front of you? Great. Okay, so what we're going to do is we can't move on because you haven't done what you needed to do. Okay, you even would have had an extra day because of our snow day. So pass those quizzes back up, or I'll come around and pick them up. You can turn them over, pass them upside down so no one will see your grade. Okay, so this first question is the first one in your homework. It is done for you. So we're just going to review it quickly. Okay. We'll go through the steps of coming up with a regression calculation, and then I'll give you 15 minutes or so to type things in and get regression calculations. This first one, I don't even know if this is still recording. Maybe it is. No, it's not. I don't know what's happening. We'll figure it out at the end. If it doesn't work, I tried. I'll try again later. So, what we did is they made a scatter plot of the data. Okay. Anytime you're given data in a table format, your first column is always your x values. Your second column is always your y values. Okay? Your x values are your input, your y values are your outputs. Okay? So, they went ahead and made this scatter plot. And they're saying that the best equation that could be represented would be a quadratic, because the data goes up and then it comes back down. And we know that when you have a maximum and then it returns down to a minimum and it doesn't return back up, it's a quadratic function. It's got a exponent of 2. Are we good with that? Okay, so did you at least do scatter plots? Did everybody make their scatter plots? Thank you. So, in your handy-dandy calculator, we're going to input, and we're going to go ahead and do all of this at the same time. Okay, so input this. What are the steps to get into regression? Stat, enter, because we want to be at edit, right? That's what we need highlighted, edit. And then you clear out L1 and L2 if there's any information in there. Okay? And then list 1 is going to be our x values. And list 2 are going to be the y values. Now, it's important that these values correspond with each other. Okay? So, in your calculators right now, go to Stat, Enter, put the x values in, your L1, put your y values in, the L2. Brandon, get a calculator. There's one in the hanging up. And if you need something, you need to ask. looking for a calculator as well? So when I asked earlier, does everyone have a calculator in front of them? You guys did not respond, right? No, those are all dead. I would have. Okay. Do we have values input put in list 1? Gage, do you have them put in list 1? Do you have it put in list 2? So you're putting in these 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Right? Just let me put it in. Put in your list 2. No. You go to stat, just like it says. Look up on the board. Stat.
No, this
Stat.
one don't have to.
Stat. Enter for edit. Go up and clear it. Hit clear. Then enter. Over. Hit go up. Hit clear. Then enter. Now put in your go run the next page. Thank you. Okay, so do we have list 1 and list 2 values put in? We should, right? John, are you with us? Okay. Let's look at this first and see what do we think is happening here. We go 40 to 100 to 160, then down to 140, then back up to 160, and then down to 60. So what do we think is happening? When you did your plot, what did it look like? It's what? Okay, so I don't have my plot in here, but it would go up, down, and does it come back down? Okay, so it doesn't look like this exactly, right? But that's what we kind of see what's happening with this data, right? It's going up, it gets to a maximum, it comes back down, and then it goes back up again. Is this a quadratic equation? No. Why? What must happen for it to be quadratic? It can't go back up. Okay, so we're not graphing this yet. Now, can we see what it looks like on your calculator? Yes. I no longer have this calculator online that I can pull up and do this. So, let me hit tools again. I'm going to erase my line. Okay, so how do we get to stat plot on your calculator? What do you do so you can see what's happening? You go to what? Second one. Thank you. So if we want to see this on the calculator, okay, if we want to see the plots, you're going to go to second y equals, that says stat plot, right? That's what it's the stat plot. And you're going to turn this, you're going to toggle the button to the on, right? And you're going to hit enter. So if you do that,
What do you mean?
hit the second button,
Yeah, no, I'm here.
second y equals. Okay, it's already on. Okay, so what do we usually have to do though if we want to see everything? Do we need to change our window? So, Philip, what would be a good x value? What would be our good x range here? Okay, it's starting at 0, right? Because we're just looking at 1 through 11. So our minimum value, let's have it 0. Okay? And what's our maximum value? It says 11 here, but we want to go a little bit above. So make it 12 or make it 15. Okay, you just want to go a little bit above. And then what about our work time? So what? Okay, but our minimum is 40, right? So let's do our y minimum, because you want to see on both sides. So let's let y be 0, your minimum value, and your maximum, we need it to be a little over 160. So do you want to make it like 200 so we can see everything? Okay, so our y min is 0, our y max is 200, our x min is 0, our x max is 12 or 15. It doesn't really matter. Okay? So, do you see all your little dots?
Yeah.
Can you see them all? How to get the dots? You get the dots by doing the second y equals, and it's already showing that it's on. So hit that just so we can see what's on. Okay? So you should just be able to see it. Okay? So if you saw these little dots, they do really look like an M, doesn't it? If we connected it, which you're not supposed to, but if you connected it, that's what it would look like. Okay, is this a quadratic function? No. Is this a cubic function? What does cubic mean? Do we have opposite in behavior, that we have an exponent of a 3? Do we have opposite in behavior here? No. So looking at this, the best equation would be a quartic, something to the 4th power. Okay? So your information is already in your calculator. How do we get a regression calculation? Here's our next step. Regression. How do we get this? You go to stat. Thank you. And you go use that little toggle button and go over to calculate. And then if we want a quartic regression, because we know we need it to the 4th power, you got to go to number 7 here for quartic. Okay? And how many decimal places do I want you to take this equation out to? Does that help a little, moving it up, John? Let's take it just to the second, because if not, we're going to be typing in numbers forever. Okay? So I'm going to insert a new page here so we can write down our equation. What did you get? For a quartic regression, we're going to have ax to the 4th power plus bx to the 3rd power plus cx squared plus dx plus e. That's a quartic regression. Okay? And it's important that we take note of our